When you learn to hold back what your emotions scream to release, you don't just gain control, you gain power over the very thing that used to break you. Before you text them again, pause. Just pause. Because right now, your emotions might be louder than your logic. Your heart might be typing faster than your wisdom can catch up. And trust me, folks, this one moment, this single pause, might be the most powerful thing you do all day. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, holding a message in your hand, like a rock. Your emotions are screaming, throw it, do it now. You think if you just toss that message into the wind, maybe, just maybe, it'll reach them and fix everything. But what you don't realize is that cliff, it's made of your self-respect, and every time you throw a message off it without thinking, a piece of that cliff crumbles, bit by bit, until there's nothing left beneath your feet but regret. We've all been there. My friends, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to wake you up, because I know that moment, the one where you're staring at their name, heart pounding like a war drum, thumb hovering over send like it's a detonator. You're not just trying to reach out, you're trying to reach relief. And that's where the lie starts. The lie that says, if they just respond, I'll be okay. But here's the truth. They're not the medicine. They're the trigger. And you're trying to fix the fever by chasing the flame. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let that sink in. Because when you're about to text them again, what you're really doing is trying to control something outside of you, their attention, their affection, their reply. But the Stoics didn't play that game. They didn't beg for peace. They became it. And look, I know it's hard. It's like being thirsty in a desert and seeing a mirage of water. That message feels like hydration. But folks, that ain't water, it's sand. You'll just choke on it and wonder why you're still empty. And let's be honest, how many times have you sent that message only to regret it 5 minutes later? Or worse, no reply at all. That's silence. That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's the universe handing you back your power and asking, are you finally ready to use it? So this isn't just about texting them. This is about who you become instead of texting them. It's about turning that moment of weakness into a moment of transformation. It's about walking away, not because you don't care, but because you finally care about yourself more than the reply, more than the attention, more than the fake peace. My friends, this message is not about playing games, it's about building muscle, the emotional kind, the kind that lets you sit in silence and not shatter, the kind that lets you say, I'm not chasing closure anymore. I'm creating it. That's Stoic. That's power. That's what you're here to learn. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's happening in your mind, your heart, your nervous system when you reach for that phone. And more importantly, you'll learn how to reach within instead. And if you feel this already hitting something deep, then type it in the comments. I choose my peace. That's your affirmation for today. Write it, speak it, claim it. Because from this moment on, you're not a man who chases. You're a man who chooses. Let's keep going. Stay with me. Number 1. The illusion behind just one more text. We often go to war for the very things that wounded us first and call it love. Let's be brutally honest, my friends. How many times have you stood at the edge of that digital cliff, one thumb away from pressing send, convinced that just one more text will fix it? Just one message to explain yourself, one to check in, one to remind them of the connection you had. You tell yourself it's harmless, that it's for clarity, that it's closure. But the truth is, that text, it's not about clarity. It's not even about them. It's about pain relief. It's about scratching an emotional itch, hoping maybe, just maybe, they'll soothe the storm inside you. Imagine you're sitting in a room full of smoke, coughing, eyes burning, chest tight, and instead of walking out, you start calling the fire department through your ex. That's what texting them from that place feels like. You're not trying to reconnect, you're trying to breathe. But here's the catch. The smoke, it's not coming from them. It's coming from within you. That panic, that ache, that spiral. It's not about their silence. It's about your fear. And fear, it's clever. It dresses up in logic. It tells you that your message is reasonable. I'm just being mature, you say. I'm just checking in. I just want peace. But my friends, if peace was what you were really chasing, you wouldn't be staring at your screen, hoping for validation. You'd be outside, reclaiming your power with every step you take away from the need to be heard by someone who's not listening. Let me ask you something real, and don't flinch when you hear it. Would you still want to text them if you knew for sure they weren't going to reply? Would you still say all those things if you knew it wouldn't change anything? Because that's how you find the truth. Strip away the fantasy of what they might say and look at what you're doing. You're trying to bargain with silence. You're trying to buy back worth with words. And that never works. Not long term. Not with someone who's already disconnected. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And that kind of bravery, it's not in the message you send. It's in the one you hold back. It's in the space between the thought and the action. That moment where you breathe, hold, pause, and say, "No, I don't need to chase clarity. I need to choose myself." You see, the illusion of just one more text is that it will settle the chaos, that it will fix the ache. But folks, think back. How many times did you text them before and feel worse afterward? How many times did you wait for a reply that never came, or came too late, or said too little? That wasn't closure. That was another emotional withdrawal, masked as hope. And every time you do it, you're not texting a person. You're texting your past. You're texting your pain. It's not easy. I won't pretend it is. The human brain is wired to seek patterns, to close loops. And when someone walks away without explanation, your mind spins endlessly trying to solve the equation. What went wrong? Why did they stop caring? Did I mess this up? Can I still fix it? So you think, maybe if I just say this one thing, they'll understand. But they won't. Not the way you hope. Because the people who need to be reminded of your worth were never the ones capable of holding it in the first place. And the hard truth, most of the time, they already know how you feel. They know you care. They know you're hurting. That's not the issue. The issue is whether they value that care, whether they're capable of receiving it. And if they walked away, if they went silent, if they created distance, that's your answer. The story doesn't change just because you add another paragraph. So let's break the lie once and for all. That text won't bring peace. That message won't shift the story. And the longer you delay your healing, the deeper the wound goes. Every just one more text keeps you trapped in the idea that closure is something they can give you. But it's not. It never was. Closure is the decision to stop opening a door that already closed on you. My friends, you were not built to beg. You were not designed to perform for attention. You are not here to keep auditioning for a role in someone else's life. You're here to rise, and rising doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts in the quiet moments, in the resistance, in the pause. That's where real transformation begins. Imagine being a lighthouse in the middle of a storm. You don't chase ships, you don't scream into the ocean, you just stand, tall, still, bright. Because your job is not to be noticed, it's to be rooted. Let the storm rage, let the waves crash. You remain. And yes, they might come back one day, they might reach out, they might wonder why you stopped trying. That's fine, let them. But if they do, let it be on your terms. Let it be from your peace, not your panic. Let it be from your wholeness, not your wound. You don't need to text them to be okay. You don't need to explain to feel complete. All you need is the courage to sit in that moment of discomfort, look it in the eye, and say, I will not let this define me. Because that's the beginning of freedom. So before you send that text, ask yourself, am I doing this to heal or to delay healing? Be honest, be ruthless, be free. And if this message hits something in your chest, if you know you've been there, if you're standing at that cliff right now, ready to throw another message into the void, pause, breathe, and type this in the comments. I choose dignity. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Let that be the flag you plant in the ground right now. No more chasing, no more explaining, no more waiting to be chosen. Because what's coming next, it's going to show you how your silence isn't weakness. It's the weapon they never saw coming. Stay with me. Number 2, what your urge to text really reveals. Craving what hurt you isn't weakness. It's a sign you haven't healed where it hit you the hardest. Let's stop sugarcoating it. The urge to text them isn't just some casual thought that passes by like a cloud. It's a storm. It hijacks your whole nervous system. One moment you're fine, the next you're drowning in a wave of what-ifs, fantasies, fake futures, and desperate questions with no one on the other side to answer them. Your thumb hovers, your chest tightens, and your mind tells you, if I just reach out, maybe I'll finally feel okay again. But here's the part most people never admit out loud. That urge to text them, it's not really about them, it's about you, and the wound you still haven't faced. My friends, pain is a trickster. It dresses up as logic. It convinces you that the only path to peace is through reconnection. But in reality, the thing you're trying to fix is not out there in the world. It's inside you. You're trying to calm your heart with a message. You're trying to stop the spinning thoughts by pressing send. But texting them is like trying to fix a leaky roof with a coat of paint. It looks okay for a second, until the next storm rolls in. And it will. Because the leak wasn't solved, it was just ignored. Imagine your heart is like a broken compass. It keeps pointing north, toward them, because that's what it's used to. That's what it remembers. But what it doesn't realize is that north isn't where safety is anymore. It's where the crash happened. And your urge to text is just that compass malfunctioning, mistaking familiarity for peace. The real question is, what are you hoping that text will fix? Is it the silence, the confusion, the ache in your gut that's been there since they started pulling away? If you're being honest with yourself, and I know that's hard, you're not chasing a person. You're chasing relief. You're chasing calm. You're chasing a version of yourself that feels whole again. But here's the truth that breaks the illusion. If they could give you that peace, you wouldn't be here hurting in the first place. Let me say that again, because it's important. If they were the key to your healing, you wouldn't be this broken trying to reach them. Epictetus said it best. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You can't control their emotions, their decisions, their silence, their regrets. You can't force them to reply, to care, to show up. But what you can control, your breath, your thoughts, your fingers, the message you don't send, that's power. They might have ghosted, they might have pulled away slowly or abruptly. Maybe they just stopped trying, and in that space they left behind, your mind filled the gaps with pain and panic. So now you're not texting them, you're texting your fears. You're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And that's the trap. Because sometimes closure isn't missing, it's just unacceptable. And you chasing it is you refusing to accept the version of the story you were handed. But you're not here to beg for a better ending. You're here to become the one who writes a new chapter. See, the urge to text is never just about communication. It's about regulation. It's about trying to soothe a nervous system that's been screaming in the dark. But let's reframe it. Every time that urge comes up, it's not a call to act. It's a call to listen. It's your heart saying, I need attention. But that attention, it doesn't have to come from them. It needs to come from you. You are not weak for feeling that pull. You are not broken for craving connection. But you are wise for recognizing that not every craving deserves to be fed, especially the ones that lead you back into fire, expecting to find warmth. And folks, let's not ignore how deep this goes. For many of you, the urge to text is wired into your survival instincts. Maybe they made you feel safe. Maybe their presence gave you purpose. Maybe when they left, it felt like losing air. But survival mode is not your destiny. You weren't born to live on emotional life support. You were born to rise. You have to ask yourself, am I texting because I want to speak my truth, or because I'm afraid of being forgotten? Am I reaching out because I've healed, or because I still need them to fix what they broke? That moment of honesty, that's where the power begins. That's where the healing starts. And it starts with silence, with restraint, with not letting the pain drive the wheel one more mile. My friends, the next time that urge rises, sit with it. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just observe it. Breathe. Watch it pass like a wave. And realize that you didn't die in the waiting. You didn't lose your power just because you didn't get a reply. In fact, you gained it. You gained clarity, you gained control, you gained something far more valuable than a message back. You gained proof that you are capable of facing what hurts without reaching for someone else to numb it. So if you're feeling that urge right now, if your thumb is twitching, if your heart is aching, don't let it break you, let it build you. And if this message reached into something real inside you, if it peeled back the truth you were too scared to face, then type this in the comments. I master the urge. Say it for you. Say it out loud. Show the world that you're no longer moved by emotion. You're moved by discipline, by dignity, by depth. Because what's coming next will show you why silence isn't just a strategy, it's a mirror. And what it reflects back to them might just shake their entire foundation. Stay with me. Number 3, stop trying to reopen closed doors. Sometimes the door didn't close because it was broken. It closed because it protected you from walking into another fire. Let's call it what it is. Texting them again isn't about talking. It's about time travel. You're trying to go back to when things felt good, when the connection was alive, when their name on your screen lit up your chest instead of shutting it down. And so you keep thinking, maybe if I reach out, I'll get that feeling back. Maybe if I say it the right way, they'll respond differently this time. Maybe we can rewind the ending. But my friends, let's stop right there, because this isn't a love story anymore. It's a loop, and loops don't heal you. They trap you. Think about it. Every time you go back to that old conversation, every time you reread the messages, stare at the pictures, or hover over their name, you're reopening a door the universe already closed. And not gently, it slammed it. It didn't whisper, maybe. It screamed, move on. But instead of walking away, you keep knocking. You keep trying to explain yourself to a silence that already gave you its answer. And I get it. I really do. You want closure. You want peace. You want something that makes all of this make sense. But let me say something that might sting a little. You're not looking for closure. You're looking for control. You're trying to rewrite the ending because you didn't like the one they gave you. You're trying to reopen the door, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. Picture this. You're in a hallway full of locked doors. One by one, the universe shuts them. Boom, boom, boom. Each one represents someone who left, who changed, who drifted. But instead of walking forward, you sit in front of one of those doors, banging on it, whispering, pleading, hoping. Meanwhile, the hallway behind you is glowing. There's a door wide open at the end. Opportunity, freedom, healing, but you don't see it because you're too busy begging for a door that already closed on who you used to be. The Stoics said, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, and your life will flow well. That quote? It isn't soft, it isn't comforting, it's reality. That door closed for a reason. That connection ended for a purpose. And you sending another text won't undo that. It only delays your transformation. Some of you are holding on to memories, not people. You're in love with who they were, not who they are. You're chasing who you felt like when they loved you, not who they became when they left you. And let me say this gently. If someone closed the door and you still have to fight to open it again, it's not your door anymore. Period. No amount of explaining, apologizing, reminding, or begging will change that. And if it does open again, what exactly are you walking back into? A house that already caught fire. You're not just hurting yourself by trying to reopen it, you're disrespecting your own growth. You're saying, I know I've come this far, I know I've worked this hard, but let me go back one more time. Let me shrink again to feel seen. That's not closure, that's self-abandonment. And I know the fear that rises when you let that door stay shut. You start to wonder, what if they forget me? What if they move on? What if I was wrong to give up? But here's the truth, if they forget you that easily, then you were never truly seen in the first place. And if they move on without even turning around to acknowledge your worth, then their silence is a blessing, not a betrayal. You've been told to fight for love, to never give up, to keep trying. But nobody told you that sometimes real strength isn't in holding on. It's in letting go without needing a dramatic finale. Sometimes strength is walking away from a door that slammed shut, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself. Let them wonder. Let them feel your absence. Let them sit in the echo of the silence they created. Your job isn't to go back and pick up where they left you. Your job is to keep walking, to build something so strong within yourself that the thought of reopening that door feels like moving backwards into chains you've already broken. You are not here to rehearse the past. You are here to write a future that doesn't beg for someone else's permission. So the next time you find yourself hovering over that message bar, typing something, deleting it, typing it again, pause. Ask yourself, am I texting them to heal, or am I trying to escape the discomfort of letting go? Be honest. Your future self is watching. And if this one hit a nerve, if you know deep down you've been trying to force open a chapter that already ended, then type this in the comments right now. I close the door. Say it with your chest. Say it for the you that stayed too long. Say it for the version of you that's ready to rise. Because what's coming next, it's not about holding on. It's about finally learning how to stand still and letting the old story fall apart so you can build something new, something worthy, something free. Stay with me. Number 4. The power of unsent words. The strongest thing you'll ever say is nothing at all. There's a quiet kind of power that most people will never understand. It's not flashy. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't post quotes online or send long paragraphs trying to prove a point. No, this power lives in silence, in restraint, in the message you almost sent but didn't. And my friends, if you've ever felt that burning urge to say something, to break the silence, to check in, to explain yourself, and you held back, that wasn't weakness. That was strength flexing in its purest form. See, people think power is noise, but true power, it's stillness. It's sitting in that emotional fire, heart pounding, thoughts racing, phone in your hand, ready to go, and choosing to pause. Not because you don't feel, but because you do, and you're finally learning to feel without reacting. Imagine you're standing in front of a dam. Behind it, chaos, emotion, fear, pain. And your message, that text, that call, that long, heartfelt paragraph, that's the crack in the wall. It might feel like relief to let it out, to let the water flow. But if you break that dam every time your emotions rise, you never learn how to contain your own power. You never learn to master it. Most people spend their lives trying to control others with words, trying to manipulate reality through messages, trying to explain themselves into being understood. But you're different. You're on a Stoic path now. And on this path, you start realizing, I don't need to be heard to be healed. I don't need to be acknowledged to have value. I don't need to respond to everything that hurts just because it hurt. And yes, it's hard. No one tells you how loud the silence gets when you finally decide not to send the message. Your mind plays tricks on you. Maybe if I just say this one thing. Maybe they forgot what we had. Maybe they're waiting for me to reach out first. The truth? If silence makes them forget you, they were never holding on to you in the first place. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That includes the mind games your own brain plays on you. That includes the fantasies, the rewrites, the imaginary conversations where everything finally makes sense. And that especially includes the false belief that your unsent message equals missed opportunity. It doesn't. It equals mastery. Because here's what happens when you stop speaking into the void. You stop leaking energy. You stop outsourcing your peace. You stop giving your power away to someone who might not even value it. And the moment you do that, something shifts. You start reclaiming your center. You start returning to yourself. Think about this. How many times have you sent that message and regretted it 5 minutes later? How many times have you hit send, felt temporary relief, and then spiraled twice as hard when the response didn't land the way you hoped? That's not connection. That's a cycle. And every time you choose not to go there, every time you don't send that message, you break that cycle just a little more. You are not what you explain. You are not what you confess. You are what you choose to withhold when your entire being is begging for a reaction. That's where your evolution lives, in the unsent paragraph, in the pause, in the self-control. My friends, the message you don't send, it speaks volumes. It says, I'm not chasing confusion. I'm not performing for attention. I'm not trying to force clarity where none exists. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need a reply to prove it. It's powerful, it's dignified, it's rare. Let them wonder, let them feel the shift. Let them scroll through their notifications and notice your name isn't there anymore, because silence isn't emptiness, it's presence, it's emotional gravity, and whether they admit it or not, they feel it. They notice when you pull your energy back. They notice when you stop speaking into silence. They notice the difference between the man who texts in panic and the man who speaks with purpose, or not at all. And here's the part no one wants to admit. Sometimes your silence is the closure. Sometimes the message you don't send is the most honest thing you could ever say, not because you're hiding, but because you're done handing your healing to someone else's hands. So breathe, sit in the quiet, let your nervous system come down, watch the urge pass, watch your own growth reveal itself in that moment when you could have folded and didn't. And if you've been here, if you've typed it all out, then deleted it, then walked away, write it in the comments right now. My silence is power. Say it like a vow. Say it like armor. Say it for the version of you who used to beg. Say it for the one who's learning to stand. Because what's coming next? It's not about being quiet out of fear. It's about choosing silence as strategy, as strength, as the most grounded signal you could ever send. Stay with me. Number 5, they notice when you go quiet, and here's why. Your silence is not an absence. It's a presence so strong, it speaks louder than your words ever could. Let's get something clear, folks. When you stop texting, when you stop reaching out, when you stop explaining, clarifying, chasing, they notice. Oh, they notice. Not always immediately, not always with a grand epiphany, but silence, it echoes, it lingers, it haunts, and the deeper your silence, the louder it rings in the places they tried to bury your worth. See, most people think that if they stop texting, they'll be forgotten, that if they stay quiet, they'll fade out of someone's mind like static on a dead signal. But silence doesn't erase you. Silence sharpens your shape. Because when you're no longer showing up, they're forced to ask why. And human curiosity, it's not polite. It pokes, it wonders, it replays things. It notices what used to be there and suddenly isn't. Imagine a room where a clock is ticking. Tick, tick, tick. You barely notice it, right? It's always been there, background noise. Now imagine the ticking just stops. Nothing. Stillness. The absence of sound becomes the loudest thing in the room. That's what your energy feels like when you pull it back. When they got used to your presence, your check-ins, your support, your availability, and suddenly, nothing. That silence becomes a mirror, and most people don't like what it shows them. Now let's be clear, this isn't about playing games. You're not pulling back to get a reaction. You're not staying silent so they chase you. This isn't manipulation, it's mastery. This is you refusing to speak into a void. This is you realizing that if someone truly wanted your energy, your time, your presence, they'd show up for it. And if they don't, then your silence isn't punishment. It's protection. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You want to know what that means here. It means when they go distant, you don't chase. When they go silent, you don't scream. When they stop showing up, you don't shrink and beg for scraps. You rise, you breathe, you stay still, not because you're cold, but because you've found warmth within yourself. And that right there, that's what they notice. Not your anger, not your sadness, not even your words. It's the calm, the dignity, the way you didn't fight for the door that closed, the way you let the silence carry your message. I don't need to be seen to know my worth. Let me say this to every person who thinks silence makes them look weak. Your silence doesn't make you look weak. It makes them look inward. And that's what scares them. Because when you stop showing up the way you always did, the attention isn't on you anymore. It's on them, their decisions, their actions, their indifference, their absence. And now, they sit with that, alone, without your comfort to numb it. But make no mistake, this won't be instant. Sometimes they won't notice for days, weeks. Sometimes it takes losing the familiar to realize it was valuable. You're not responsible for the timing. You're responsible for the message your energy carries. And silence, that's a language only the emotionally intelligent understand. It's not cold. It's not bitter. It's sacred. It's surgical. Most people fold when they don't get closure. Most people panic when their presence isn't acknowledged. But you, my friends, you're not most people. You're learning how to stay grounded when the earth beneath you shakes. You're becoming someone who can let go without needing noise to validate that decision. And yes, they'll feel it, that shift, that void, that pullback. They may not reach out. Pride might stop them, ego might block them, but in the back of their mind, your name lingers, your absence speaks, your silence whispers all the words you no longer waste. This isn't about hurting them, this is about healing you. Every time you choose silence over reaction, presence over panic, dignity over desperation, you reclaim another piece of yourself. You show them, and more importantly, you show yourself, that you no longer beg for breadcrumbs in rooms where you once brought the feast. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to do anything loud. You don't have to prove. You don't have to remind. You don't have to break your own peace just to be noticed. Because silence carries weight. It has memory, and it moves differently. When you stop being available to the inconsistent, the confused, the avoidant, you don't lose value. You become rare. So if you've stopped texting, if you've pulled back, if you've chosen stillness over chasing, then write this in the comments. They feel the silence. Let that be your quiet roar. Let that be your reminder that your power doesn't disappear when your words do. Because what's coming next? We go even deeper. We're not just talking about silence anymore. We're talking about what happens inside you when you stop needing anything outside you to feel whole. Stay with me. Number 6, emotional sobriety, the discipline to feel without acting. A man isn't strong because he feels nothing. He's strong because he feels everything and still chooses peace. Let's talk about something that most people never teach you, my friends. Emotional sobriety, not the absence of feelings, but the mastery of them. The ability to sit with the fire inside your chest and not let it burn down your life. That's what separates the man who reacts from the man who reigns. You feel something rising, the sadness, the anxiety, the panic, the craving, that moment where you want to pick up your phone, text them something raw, something vulnerable. I miss you. Why did you leave? Can we talk? And it's not weakness that you feel it. It's human. What matters is whether you serve that emotion or lead it. Because here's the truth, folks. Most people are emotional addicts, drunk on impulses, sober only when the storm has passed. They feel something and immediately act. They feel fear and they text. They feel lonely and they call. They feel confused and they chase. But reaction isn't strength, it's surrender. It's handing the wheel to your most wounded self and hoping the destination doesn't end in regret. Seneca said, No man is free who is a slave to his passions. And every time you let your emotions speak on your behalf without restraint, you've given your power away. Again, you've let the temporary dictate the permanent. You've let a passing storm make permanent decisions. But emotional sobriety, that's the revolution. That's the real flex. Not how loud you are, not how fast you respond, not how deep your message goes, but how still you stay, how calm you remain, how clear you can be in the middle of internal chaos. Picture this: you're standing in a storm, rain slamming down, wind howling, lightning cracking in the distance. Most people run, scream, panic, but not you. You stand still, you breathe, because you've learned that weather always changes, but your reaction to it defines you. And let's be honest, it's not easy. The urge to speak, to fix, to get answers, to be heard, it comes from a real place. You just want to feel safe again. That's all. You're not trying to manipulate. You're trying to regulate. But here's the twist. The very action you think will soothe you is the one that keeps you trapped. Every emotionally impulsive text is like a drink to an addict. Feels good for a minute, burns later. You can feel it, can't you? That tiny high after hitting send, followed by the crash when there's no reply. Or worse, a cold one. That's not peace. That's dependency. That's your worth doing laps around someone else's silence. You're not meant to live that way. You're meant to lead yourself out. So what do you do instead? You breathe, you sit, you let the emotions crash like waves, and you don't run. You name what you're feeling without letting it become your identity. You say, this is pain, not proof. This is sadness, not signal. This is loneliness, not loss. You can cry, you can journal, you can scream into a pillow, but don't hand your emotions to a keyboard and call it healing. Healing is done in silence, in the shadows, not in someone else's inbox. The Stoics didn't avoid emotion, they refined it. They believed in using it as fuel, not a leash. You take that anger and you lift weights with it. You take that sadness and you build something with it. You take that heartbreak and you walk through fire with it, not to prove anything to them, but to become unbreakable within yourself. Let me say this to you plainly. You're not becoming a man by suppressing what you feel. You're becoming a man by creating space between the feeling and the response. That space, that's where your power lives. That pause, that's the real revolution. You're not heartless for choosing silence. You're not cold for choosing peace. You're not distant for choosing discipline. You're becoming emotionally sober, finally. And if they come back one day, they won't be greeted by a desperate version of you who's been spiraling in silence. They'll meet a grounded, calm, clear man who doesn't need to chase to feel complete. And that version of you, he didn't get here by reacting. He got here by sitting still when it burned the most. So the next time you feel that wave, next time your emotions come rushing in like a flood and your fingers reach for that message, pause, just pause. Say this to yourself: I am not my impulse, I am my discipline. And if this truth just punched something deep in your chest, then write it in the comments right now. I lead my emotions. Say it like a contract, like a promise to the man you're building. Let it be seen, let it be felt, let it be known. You're no longer emotionally intoxicated. You're sober, sharp, still. Because what's coming next, it's not about survival, it's about becoming. And the man you're becoming doesn't flinch when the storm rises. Stay with me. Number 7, build your value in the space you don't fill. A man doesn't become valuable by proving his worth. He becomes valuable by remembering he never had to. Let's make something clear right now. The silence you're holding isn't wasted time. It's not emptiness. It's not loneliness. It's your forge. The space you're in right now, the quiet, the stillness, the distance you're keeping from them is not a punishment. It's a sanctuary. And what you do in that space, that's what builds the kind of value that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't break. Most people think healing happens when they get the apology, when the person comes back, when they feel chosen again. But that's not healing. That's emotional dependency dressed up in temporary relief. Real healing, real transformation. It happens in the days where nobody texts, where nobody checks in, where nobody's looking, but you show up anyway. You show up for you. Imagine a man building a house with his bare hands, alone, no crowd watching, no praise, no applause, just him and the bricks, just him and the mission. That's you right now. This silence is your construction site. You're not waiting. You're working. You're building muscle, mindset, mission. You're rebuilding the foundation that maybe you gave away before, brick by brick, day by day, quiet, steady, powerful. And here's the hard truth, my friends. Every time you pull back from texting them, every time you resist the urge to reach out, you create space. And space is uncomfortable at first. It feels like a void. But that space, it's the soil where your value grows. It's the mirror where you finally see you. Let me ask you something. Who are you when nobody's looking? Who are you when you're not trying to prove yourself to someone who's no longer clapping? That's the version of you that matters. That's the version of you that will last. You don't build value by staying in someone's orbit, hoping they notice your gravity. You build value by becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to be seen to know he shines. The kind of man who sharpens in the dark, who becomes undeniable through discipline, who makes absence feel like presence because his energy was that rare. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That means stop explaining yourself to people who stopped listening. Stop hoping your next message will wake them up. They had their chance. Now it's your time. Your time to be silent, to be still, to be dangerously focused on the man you're becoming. You don't need to remind them what they lost. You need to remind you what you're made of. You need to become so fulfilled, so consistent, so driven that your world is too full to chase people who made you question your worth. So get to work. Hit the gym, not to get revenge, but to feel strong in your own skin again. Read, not to impress them, but to feed your mind. Stack your skills, build your income, get quiet, not because you're waiting, but because you're rising. Let your silence be your strategy. Let your focus be your fire. You don't have to prove your value. You just have to stop abandoning it every time you feel ignored. Because here's the thing, they're watching. Maybe not with their eyes. Maybe not with a text. But on a deeper level, people feel the shift when you start pouring energy into yourself instead of chasing them. They feel it when your name doesn't light up their phone anymore, when you stop orbiting their life, when your silence isn't sadness, it's certainty, it's completion. That kind of shift, that changes everything. Not because it makes them come back, but because it makes you never want to go back. And listen, this isn't about becoming cold. This isn't about pretending you don't care. This is about emotional wealth, about walking through fire, not to save anyone else, but to forge yourself into something unshakable. So when you feel that pull again, when your mind whispers, just send one message, remember this: your value doesn't grow where you chase. It grows where you choose you again and again and again, especially when no one's clapping. If you've made it this far, you've already started. You're not the man who used to send 2 a.m. texts out of panic anymore. You're not the man who needed a reply to feel whole. You are the man who chooses discipline over desperation, stillness over scrambling, purpose over performance. So if you feel this message echoing in your chest, if you know this is the work you're in right now, then type it in the comments right now. I am building me. Write it, own it, show it to the world, show it to yourself. Because this isn't just a phrase, it's your blueprint. And if you're ready to keep walking this path of emotional mastery, real inner strength, and calm, grounded confidence, then do this before you go. Hit the like button, subscribe to Powerful Stoic Habit, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. You're not chasing anymore, you're becoming. Stay strong, stay focused, stay free. I'll see you in the next video.